Alright, we are done with installing R in R Studio. So literally we finished installing R Studio, and then we're done with step 6, right? Then the next part is talking about R Markdown and LaTeX. So we're going to skip this part for now. So I will introduce you to R Studio in general and how to code in R. And then when we feel comfortable with that, we can go ahead and use R Markdown. So for now, let's go back to, if you click on Pages, by the time that you're watching this video, it's going to be here. If you go to Home, Classes, you're going to see Class 3, Class 4. So let me find it here. If I go to Pages, and then Class 3 is going to be R Markdown Review. Oops, sorry, I have to do it here because I didn't change the other one. All right, so you will see something like this. You'll see that introduction to R and R Studio. There's an R script here. This is, you remember we created a test.R script. So this is something that I've done before. So in order to save time, we're going to walk through this R. We're not going to write everything from scratch, but I'm going to show you how to do it on your own. And as a practice, I really want you to replicate this R script on your own computer a couple of times until you feel comfortable working with R. Then there's a reference page. This is a PDF reference. We're gonna look at that one as well. So actually, let me start with that, and then we will come back to the R basics. So this is a reference. So if you click on that PDF, you will see something like this. So this is basically, you can think of it as your quick cheat sheet, and you find in this PDF lots of free online courses or YouTube videos. Again, take your time. Don't think that you can master R in a month or two or even a semester. That's not the plan. The plan is to, for this semester, the plan is to run your codes, the econometric codes in R. But if you want to become a master in R, it takes years, right? So don't be so hard on yourself. So here are some resources and links for your reference. So these are the ones that I believe that are really good online available versions, free versions. So for instance, the first one is using R for introductory econometrics. So this is actually, if you click on it, well, I have to update the link, but this is basically our, so go to the first edition. The R textbook that we're going to, it's attached to the main textbook of the class, right? So I talked about this one in the class. So here, let's look at the first version. It's going to take a little, yeah, it's opening it up. So as a required reading, so if I go back to page 3, I really want you to read the first 41 pages of this textbook, because it's going to help you a lot in terms of, you know, dealing with the basics in R. So again, you can watch this video, but at the same time, I highly recommend you to read the first 41 pages up to the probability distribution for the first 40 pages of this textbook. Again, it tells you what is R, what are packages, what is R script, and then talk about different functions, different data types in R, and etc. As a complementary, we're going to do all these things right now in a video, but again, it's a good idea to learn stuff from multiple resources. All right, going back to the reference, so this is the main one, and then, our tutorial, this is an interactive tutorial for learning R. So if you, again, I don't want to spend time here. Make sure that you explore all these links on your own and explore them and see. Again, play around with them. Again, learning R is part of your job in this course. There is no way that I can sit with you for hours and hours and teach you how to code in R. So you have to do it on your own. I show you the template, then you have to try to replicate it on your own and at your own pace. Quick R is another nice introduction to R with lots of good examples. R bloggers, if you have questions, you can ask them. To me, regardless of what language you're coding in, Stack Overflow is the best. So some of you guys may be familiar with Stack Overflow, but if you're not, Well, let me see if I click on it. Oh yeah. So this is a community of coders. You don't need to have an account, but basically, so this is how it looks like. It's like it. I don't know. Let me let me show you how do I deal with something that I don't know when I want to code. If you don't know anything in coding, for instance, how to make matrix in R, then in continuation, just write Stack Overflow. Okay. The first link most probably is going to be something from Stack Overflow, and this is a community that people ask and answer questions in that community, and it's very helpful, very helpful. So when you're at work, when you're working on your projects, and when you're writing things in R, Python, C, you name it, SQL, whatever, Excel, the answer you can find in the Stack Overflow. So to me, honestly, I don't go over the tutorials, or again, whenever you need to figure out some codes, I think my go-to website is going to be Stack Overflow. But you may not want to start from Stack Overflow because, so let me show you an example, because you will see something like this. If you don't know the basics of R, maybe you cannot understand other people's code. But the point of using Stack Overflow is that to be able to use other people's codes, recommendations, suggestions, ask questions, and maybe sometimes answer questions and contribute to the community, right? So for instance, I said how to create a matrix in R. So I can see usually there are multiple answers, and the best one, you can look at the ranking. So for instance, this has 94 up rank. So this means that it's a very good one. So maybe this is the best one. If I go down, you see the alternative. So the good thing about R is that you can come up with multiple answers for one question. So look at that. What was the question? How to create an empty matrix in R, right? There are many different ways to do that. So this is one way, this is another way. And by the way, you can copy and paste it in your R Studio. And then there's a third way, there's a fourth way maybe, and etc. Right? But which one is the best? If you want to quickly figure out which one is the best, look at the number of positive votes. So 1, 7, 19, 94. Maybe this is the best. So maybe this is the best way to come up with an empty matrix in R. And actually, this is the case. I'm going to show you how to make a matrix in R, and this is the function that we're going to use: matrix, open, close, right? All right, so this is Stack Overflow. Let's go back to the reference. Bookdown on LaTeX, this is for our Markdown. So LaTeX is completely optional because we're not going to use the PDF outputs. Only if you want to generate PDF outputs, you need to install LaTeX. It's a separate installation, it's a separate program. But in this course, we want to keep things very simple. So we're going to stick to R and R Studio. So, and we get to Bookdown when I told you what is R Markdown. All right. So packages. So what are the packages? So the standard distribution of R already comes with some number of packages, and the packages are extensions to R, and these are the extensions that were generated by advanced user, and they help you to easily make use of other people's code and for free. So for example, let's say we are using econometric. We want to use R and do some econometrics stuff, right? You don't want to reinvent the wheels from scratch again, right? So you want to borrow other people's code. And let's say, I put all the codes that I have and functions for econometrics and put it in a package and call it, and name it as, let's say, Pedram Econometrics. This is a package that I want to call. And then I share the package Pedram Econometrics to the CRAN community. You remember we had I think I closed it by, this is a community for R, CRAN. We share the package here in the CRAN community, and then you can install other people's packages directly from R Studio. Okay, so I can say, for instance, install package Pedram Econometrics, and then you will have access to all the functions that I put in that package. So in short, we're going to install packages from different resources that was generated by different people, and that makes our lives a lot easier. You don't need to, again, you don't need to code from scratch. You can borrow different functions from different people with just calling the packages. Install the package and call the functions. So for instance, one package that we're going to work extensively with is Woolridge package. And as you remember, Woolridge was the name of the author of the textbook, right? So this means that the author of the textbook have put all the data sets in one environment, and in RStudio we're going to download that environment from internet and then simply call the name of the data sets, and that's it. So you don't need to, for instance, download the Excel file, open the Excel file in RStudio. Everything is going to be automatically by calling the package Woolridge, right? There are many different packages that we're going to use in this course. Again, I think these are the most important ones that we cover. So LM test is for testing linear regression. CAR is a companion to applied regression. Stargazer is the package that format the tables. It's in a very nice way. Again, we are going to talk about these things one by one throughout the semester, so there's no need to overwhelm you by just reading the names of these packages. But be aware that what we are doing in the class is not coding. We are calling functions that were generated by other people. That's it. So there are some useful shortcuts that sometimes you see me when you see me coding, and then you're wondering how did I do that. And again, I tend to forget to tell you what keys I'm pressing on the keyboard. So this is your reference. So for instance, if you want to run the codes line by line in RStudio, it's Control Enter. I think in Mac it's going to be Command Enter, or sorry, it was Control Enter in both Mac and Windows. If it wasn't Control, try Command. Then if you want to make comment out multiple lines, again, we're going to talk about these things. You have to practice it on your own. There is no way that I can teach you how to code in R in one sitting. You have to practice it a lot. And auto indent, need to mark down RChalk. Again, we are going to talk about this one in R Markdown video. There are some cheat sheets available in R and in RStudio, and let me quickly show you what are those cheat sheets and where you can find them. So in RStudio, if you go to the Help tab and then there's cheat sheets, you can look at these cheat sheets. So let's actually look at them. I'm going to go ahead and open the RStudio. I go to Help, and then if you scroll down, there's cheat sheet. You see there are cheat sheets available for many of the packages. So these are the name of packages: dplyr, ggplot2, purrr. And the package that we're going to extensively use, for example, in this class is dplyr. If you're ever wondering what are the capabilities of this package, it's going to give you quick cheat sheets, comes as a PDF format. You can, again, you can think of it as your quick reference to work with dplyr package. But again, guys, going back to my Microsoft Word document, right? Word. Now you can easily work with Microsoft Word without any fear. RStudio is exactly the same. Do not overwhelm yourself by trying to understand all these things in one step. Okay, don't do that to yourself. But down the road, for those of you guys who are interested, you can follow all the pages, all the references here and practice it. I think it is worth your time. It's a good investment. So that was all about the reference, right? Then let's go back to the class page. We are going to open up this R basic, so you can click on it. You see the extension is .r. You will see something like this, r_basic.r. You have to double click on it, and then your RStudio is going to be automatically open. So let me close the RStudio. Go to the folder that I have the R basics, and double click on the R basics. All right. So when you double click on, so this is what you're going to see when you open that file, that R script. So let me make some changes that some of you guys may find it helpful. It's easier to track the codes. So first of all, this is my console. I can clear the console by pressing Control L. So Control L is going to clear the console. And then you can come up here and then click on this four little windows and say, I want to have the console on the right. So if I click console on the right, then it's going, my console is going to be on the right, the editor is here, and then the environment is down here, and packages are here. Okay, so this way, when I type something here, I can see the results here in the console. So I type in the editor, I see the results in the console. So that's why I prefer to have it this way. It's easier. Okay. Sorry, let me go ahead and erase this. No, you don't need. Okay. So remember, we started with this one. This was our R script, new test R script. Now I provide you with this R basic script. So the goal is to, in this file, which has, let's say, I don't know, 300 something lines of code, the goal is to learn everything you need to know for this course by reviewing only one simple R script. Well, relatively simple, right? It depends from what perspective you're looking at it, right? Okay. So I will try to replicate the first bunch of lines in this new test, and then whenever you felt comfortable that, okay, this is how it's working, we're gonna go ahead and run the codes in the R basics line by line without me typing them again. Okay, so again, on the right we have console, on the left it's editor. So if I write something here in the console, this is, whenever you want to write something in the console, you have to speak R language. Okay, so it means that if I say 1, R understands, says, okay, it's 1. If I say 1 plus 1, R understands what I'm talking. It says, okay, the answer is 2. However, if I say Pedram, R is going to complain. It's going to say, error, object, Pedram not found. Because it doesn't understand what you're saying. So because Pedram is a string, right? It's a character. So whenever you want to insert a character into R, you have to put it in quotation. So if I do quotation, then Pedram, then press enter, it says, okay, R understand. By the way, this is 1 is the number of line in the output. So for instance, here's 1, so the output is 1 line, and now R understands that I'm talking about some character, right? So make sure that whenever you write in this script, in the editor, must be in terms of R language. Okay, so this means that here, if I write hello world, right, and then press ignore this thing that pops up here. Basically, RStudio is going to suggest you something which is already in the data sets, because RStudio comes with some built-in data sets, but we don't need to deal with any of them. So just skip it. And then, so if you want to run one line, so you have to say Control Enter. So when I Control Enter, again, it's as if it's been run in the console and give me error. So I have to put it in quotation. So if I put it in quotation, then it understands and without complaining says hello world, right? If you want to, however, if you want to write some comments, you have to put a hashtag. So I say this is a comment. Remember, and you see the color changed, so RStudio understand that you are talking. This is a comment. You don't want to be treated as R language, right? So if I erase this hashtag and try to run it, you see, automatically RStudio is going to tell me that something is wrong here, right? And again, if I run it, I'll get an error. But if I put hashtag without any error, and if I run it, just say that, okay, this is a comment. Okay. And when your console gets very busy, you can go ahead and clear the console. Just do Control L, so the console is clear now. And so that's basically it. So if you want to write comments, use hashtag. If you want to write strings, make sure use quotation. The rest of it is mathematical language, right? So we call functions, we use numbers, we use operators, and etc. Right? So now that we know how to talk to R, let's go back to our basic script, right? So now, let's start from line 1. I'm putting a hashtag here, so I'm telling R, okay, this is basically a comment. So if you want to run these codes line by line, click on any part of the line. By the way, you can but do not highlight anything, because if you highlight something and then do Control Enter, it's going to run that highlighted part. If you want to run the entire line, just click on any part of the line, here, 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 and then press Control Enter. So the first, I see. So let me tell you what happened here. Because the first 9 or 10 lines up to here are basically comments, are did in the console we don't see the comments necessarily, right? R is going to skip all the comments and come to the first line, which is code, right? So that's why when I press put the cursor here, do Control Enter, automatically the cursor is going to jump into the line which I have the first code, right? And the first code is x is equal to 2l. Okay, so let me clear the console and tell you what we're going to do. Let's see, this video is 20 minutes. Let's close this video, and then we're going to start with different types of the data, different types of variable that we can have in R, and then we start the next video from there. So, but in short, we can have integer, we can have double, we can have character, we can have logical operators, we can have matrix, we can have data frame, and we can have vector, list, and that's it. So these are 9 different types of the 9 different data types that we can save the values in them, right? So we can save a value as an integer, as a character, and etc. So let's stop here and start. We are going to start next video explaining all these different things.